Hi everyone, my name is Olga Cherkasova. I'm president of the IIBA Belarus chapter, and here we on the BA Leadership Talks, where we talk with the most famous and most recognized business analysts all over the world about business analysis practice. Stay tuned to our interview series. And I'm very happy to introduce you, Lora McCoy. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for joining this interview, and thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. Guys, I want to explain a little bit more about Lora. Why she's so cool. She has more than 2 decades experience in business analysis and more than a decade that she volunteered for the IIBA. She was a regional director for Central America. So it's a huge and important post in the IIBA. She volunteered for the organization and for all other BAs for long term. So I'm really happy that we can talk about business analysis, about volunteering, and about leadership in this profession. Thank you so much, Lora.
My pleasure to be here.
All right, so we have a lot of questions for you because your career is really very interesting and you have a nice experience. You are not just BA, you have experience in quality assurance, in project management, in change management. But you stay tuned to business analysis. Why did you prefer this?
So, yeah, I was asked that question, a similar question, when I was at a conference once, and they talked with the project managers first, and they asked them, and the answers were often things like, I like ensuring things are completed. I like following things through. And then one of the business analysts said, I like solving problems. And what I will say is, every one of the functions in the world of change are all important collectively. But I feel like when I put on my BA hat, number one, I feel home. But the biggest thing about it is it is the role that is most focused on understanding why things are done a certain way and how we can improve it. And for me, I want to make a difference. And I know a lot of us say that. A lot of us want to make a difference, but it's like it's embedded in every thought I have. So for me, when I think about, we are at work 75% of our waking hours. That's a lot.
Yes.
And when our work life is more stressful than it has to be, we go home stressed. If we have children, they will feel that from us and they will become more anxious. And then, so when I realize I have a chance to improve part of those 75% of waking hours, I can possibly impact someone's world in a positive way. They go home less stressed. Their children don't have the anxiety quite so much. They go to school the next day. They're able to learn and absorb, and who knows what they'll become. That's how my brain works, right? So for me, it felt like the role that I had the most opportunity to impact things in a very, very meaningful way, right? Hopefully that answers the question.
Wonderful. This is wonderful. I feel so much empathy for this motivation because improving and making world better is something that I really appreciate and try to do myself. And when I do my business analysis job, it's all the motivation that I have personally because I explain it to myself. I'm not just doing stupid job, writing stupid requirements. I'm trying to make my end user happier.
Yes, they are.
Otherwise, we have a lot of boring activities, and if we don't have like this purpose why we are doing them, it will be absolutely boring and not motivated.
Yes, I agree.
I believe that business analysis is a profession that helps make this world better and in a very smart way.
Yep, one change at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked that you dedicated a lot of your career to the IIBA. Why? Why did you become a volunteer? Why did you join the organization?
When I found IIBA, I had already been doing this work for close to 12 years.
Oh.
When I found IIBA. And so I had been when I started business analysis over 25 years ago, it was not well understood. It was often almost a battle to get others to understand, what are we? Why are we valuable? What can we do for you? Right? There was a lot of people didn't understand it. And when we don't understand something, we often fear it. And when we fear it, we resist it a lot. Right? And so I felt really alone for a long time. And then I found IIBA. I was just searching online, looking for anything that could help me improve my skills. And I went to my boss and I was like, oh my God, I found an organization that focuses on this. It could really help me grow. And he's like, sign up. So I signed up. Within a few days, looking through their website, I found they had a certification. I was like, oh my God, I want to do that. 3 weeks later, I was certified. Not a fun journey. That was not the way I recommend anyone do that. It was way too fast. And as soon as I found them and I started realizing what they were about, I didn't feel alone. I felt like there was this whole community of people that thought the way I did, believed what I did. And I felt like I was part of something bigger than me. Mm-hmm. And I had to give to that. I had to give back to that. And I immediately started dedicating time to it. And it changed. It changed my world. I was already good at what I did, but what that gave to me and what that organization and all of its members gave to me and what I got out of giving back to them, it's almost like a drug. There's nothing like it. So I keep engaging at different levels, right? But yeah.
Yes, you mentioned very important part. You're not alone. You're in the community, and you're in the community with very same thinking people. They think the same way. You do not need to explain them. You do not need to spend your time to motivate them or explain why it's so important, why it's needed, because they have the same mindset. And I feel even now, in Eastern Europe, it's quite popular to explain why you need a business analyst, why this project needs a business analyst. And what's interesting that you need to provide some data, you need to prove some way that this is like a very important profession. You can't just eliminate business analysis from the project. But I believe that the situation will be changed. It's changing slowly, but it's changing. And I know that even now it's much better than it was like 5 years ago. So even in our region, the situation is changing. And I believe that one day nobody will ask, business analyst, oh, you do some analytics? Oh, you work with Excel?
Oh God, yeah, no.
Yeah. Because this is like the most common question that I receive when I introduce myself. People think that business analyst is a person who works with analytics and Excel.
Yes. No. Yeah, I have some interesting stories about that confusing topic. Yes, and honestly, when you look at titles posted for business analysts, that's not helping us because they will post a lot of data analyst jobs, but call them a business analyst. Yeah, and we're quite different. We are different than that for sure.
Yeah. All right. Can you tell us more how to be successful in volunteering career in the IIBA? Because you started as a vice president, moved to president position, and then moved to regional director position. So you did a good career track there.
So it's just really volunteer where you can, right? And find opportunities to give back. Don't be scared to speak up for things that you're really interested in, right? So volunteering is interesting because it's on your own time and your time is precious. It's valuable. So it's important that when you volunteer, it's to do things that motivate and fulfill you. For me, I think most positions with IIBA would have helped me feel valuable, helped me feel like I was giving back. So first, I would find out, are there any opportunities at my local chapter Maybe there's not a board position. Okay. They can always use help. It's volunteer work. We could always use help. So volunteering to support the chapter, whether it's as a board member or not. Once you have an opportunity, I really think BAs, some of us are really comfortable stepping into leadership functions, and some of us are a little hesitant. I think it's important for us to be really good BAs. We have to learn how to step out of that shell. Make yourself uncomfortable. We lead change. There's no other job more uncomfortable than that. We're leading people into a future. The future is not known. So if you can do that, you can help lead in a chapter. And once you've led in the chapter for a little bit, look for opportunities to, I think the ideal approach is serve on the chapter board at some point, perform the president function. And then ultimately you reach out to the international organization and you find out what opportunities they have. They do have regional director positions, which is what I took on, right? And, they open them up every 2 years. Take advantage of that opportunity. Put yourself out there. Talk about why you're passionate about it. It should resonate with others and it'll give you the opportunity. The other thing you can do is speaking at local chapters, right? Speaking at local chapters gets you the opportunity to speak at larger conferences. There is significant growth there.
I totally agree with you, and thank you for sharing and making my thoughts loud, because everything that you said is really hard work. It's inner work. It's like easy to say, go to the chapter and be a speaker, but before you do this action, you have to do a lot of inner work, sometimes fighting with yourself. Am I okay to speak at the chapter? Am I okay to speak at the conference? Am I okay to take this responsibility? So you need to work really hard with your inner side of yourself first, and then you can move and then you can lead. So I believe that this is a very helpful advice for our watchers, and I believe that everybody who watches this video will start this work even today, even after this video, to work with inner side of ourselves and to improve ourselves, to make us more visible, to speak up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something I would like to say about that. When people see me speak publicly, or even on a call like this, right? I believe I give the impression that I'm not scared. I'm totally confident. I'm excited. I'm almost never feeling that way. Inside, I am just as scared as every other person that might stand up, right? However, one of the things I would suggest you focus on and this works in anything, not just IIBA, when we are fearful to speak up about something we believe in, it's usually because we are a bit fearful, if we're really honest. It's fear. We're fearful of judgment, we're fearful of failure, right? Things like that. What I challenge you to do is, instead of focusing on how you might be perceived, focus on why you want to talk about that. So for me, I get accused all the time of being overly passionate about business analysis. But when I get up in front of a room of 200 people, most people think I'm really excited to be there. The truth is, I'm scared, but I'm so excited about what I want to share with you. I forget to be nervous. I'm nervous until I start sharing. Once I start sharing, as long as you can get over that piece and you start talking about something you believe in, something you love, something you want to help grow, focus on that, and it becomes easier.
Yes, very good advice. And I don't know who is not nervous. I don't know who is not scared, but I believe practice is a key. So here in Belarus chapter, we provide these opportunities for speakers, for people who want to speak up, who want to show up, but they're scared because our events are very comfortable and we manage them to make them comfortable. If people don't want to be on a recorded event, it's okay, we will not record it. If they want to make a different atmosphere, we can adjust the surrounding to make it more comfortable for them, but we provide this, I would say, accelerator opportunity for further speaking opportunities for larger conferences, for larger events. So if you're watching this video and want to join our speaking opportunities, please let me know. And thank you for sharing, because your advice and your experience, I believe the same experience that every speaker really experienced in their life. Because I don't know anyone. I talked to so many people how to be a great presenter, how, like, in every conversation, speak the same way as TED Talk speakers say. And everybody said that this is preparation and experience and no miracle behind. This is just preparation and experience. All right. Thank you for sharing and thank you for the advice. I believe that our watchers now how to be successful in the IIBA volunteering. So you know the trick. All right, let's continue our conversation about your leadership and how it was challenging or how it was difficult for you to sustain and bring your activities to appropriate level, how to satisfy expectations, how to be successful. For example, asking this question because I'm interested how to make my chapter successful, how to make volunteers happy, how to make members fulfilled with all these activities we do in the chapter. I'm just interested how you understand that you're okay, because there is no judgment. There is just feedback and that's it. How do you understand that? Okay, now it's just a challenge. Now this is an opportunity. Now I'm done fine.
Yeah. So I think it's a lot about how we frame it in our minds, right? When we think about trying to be successful, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we doubt ourselves, and I believe that's what I think I heard a little bit of. I think a little bit of your question was, how do you overcome that self-doubt? How do you ensure you're growing and doing the best things? So I think one of the things that's important is to behave in a way that, so one of the things that causes us to get nervous is when we compare ourselves to what's expected, when we compare ourselves to the person next to us. Am I doing good enough? Things like that. So I've never really thought that way. My perspective is always, how can I be better than I was yesterday? So as soon as you eliminate the comparative perspective of it, comparing myself to another, and I compare myself to myself yesterday, that eliminates a bit of the pressure. Be okay failing. One of the important things for us to all realize is no matter how long we've been doing what we're doing, we don't know everything. There's always something to learn. Be curious. Be curious. Be curious about learning the next thing. Be curious about what someone else perceives of what value you're bringing. Don't be fearful to ask others, how can I provide you more value? Don't ask, is there anything I should improve? Because that implies, and it has a psychological impact of I'm doing something wrong. That's going to increase our insecurities. To get past the insecurity, realize as long as I'm learning, that's all that matters. As long as I'm growing, that's what matters. Seek the growth, seek the learning, be curious, be excited, right? And so I would say to be successful about that, number one, like I said, it's about your self-perspective. Don't judge yourself, seek growth. The other thing is trust others, ask others, what could I do to provide even more value? And the word even is important because that implies I believe I'm valuable. There's power in that, right? And when you say even more, it's you giving those other individuals freedom to share with you what they would like more of, right? So I would suggest that. And that goes into everything. When you're the first BA, I have been the first business analyst at many organizations. That's not fun.
I know.
It's scary, right? And it's a challenge because you're seen as a threat, right? And so you could allow that to make you insecure. You could allow that to fuel an unwillingness to step outside of your comfort zone. But what's important is to have the right perspective. Those individuals, they don't dislike you. They don't see you as not valuable. They're scared of what you represent, because you represent not only a change in the way they behave, figuring out how to improve their world, but you represent constant change. If an organization is hiring a business analyst, they recognize we constantly have to change. Well, that's kind of scary, right, to others. So it's about recognizing it's not about you, it's about the situation. It's not about you, it's about the new process. It's about the change. It's about the unknown. And as soon as you can do that, it helps you dispel insecurity that might prevent you from asking the good questions, seeking the growth and the learning. Does that answer your question?
It's perfect answer to my question. I'm really happy because you shared so great ideas, and it's applicable to everywhere. It's applicable for junior positions, it's applicable for senior positions, it's applicable for managers, it's applicable for everybody in any
life.
Yeah.
It's applicable to everything in life.
Yeah, I'm really happy, guys, and I'm just imagining and doing mental notes. I believe that we will put this part of interview in sites and share everywhere because it's great. Thank you so much, Laura, for your wisdom. It's amazing. All right, you mentioned very nice topic. You were the first business analyst in the organization. I know how it's difficult because I had the same experience. And also, reading your LinkedIn CV carefully, I noticed that you have a very interesting activity there. You have to integrate business analysis practice to established practices like IT practice, PMO practice, quality assurance practice, and now you arrive here with a new practice. And I don't know, but my suggestion would be that project managers were very skeptical, that they said it's our part of job, that other people can say we want to change anything, we have established processes, workflows, etc. You just do external work or it's not needed and so on. So I know that if you enabled it somehow, it was very difficult. Could you please share your experience how to make it easier for all who will watch this video?
That's a really good question. And it's actually a little difficult to answer succinctly, but I'll do my best. Every place I've been, the challenge has been slightly different. And so when you find yourself in those moments, you have to gauge that direct situation, and you have to act based on what those parameters are. But there are some things that are pretty consistent. Number one, if they have an established project management or change management function, there's a lot of confusion as to what elements in project management are actually business analysis, and the same for change management. You might even find, and this is the even harder part, technologists are used to doing what we do. They figure out what's needed and they actually build it, right? They don't recognize that there's actually a conflict of interest there. Now, the other piece is I've done BA, QA, PM, all of it, every hat that you can possibly think of. I have crawled floors and toned lines implementing telephony. When I switch from PM to BA to change management, it is a different mindset. I can tell when I'm shifting, right? Unfortunately, others aren't quite as aware of those shifts because they're just functioning and surviving their day. So the first thing to realize is fear. right? You think about if you've ever heard of the Kubler-Ross change curve. I come in, I represent a whole new function you've never had. I'm going to take pieces of what 2 or 3 functions are currently doing. That doesn't feel good. I'm going to be less. I'm speaking as a project manager or a change manager. Wait a minute. I'm not going to do the things I used to do. Am I going to be as important? Am I going to be as valuable? Am I good enough at what I'm going to start focusing on that I can still stand out? So people have a bunch of fear, right? Fear of loss of importance, fear of loss of face, because maybe they're going to be asked to stretch in a specific area that they haven't had to. People have insecurities. They're human. We as business analysts are in a very unique spot. We must either eliminate, that's really, really hard, or at least be self-aware enough of our own insecurities that we can manage it, because it's our job to lead with no authority. Project managers have authority. Change managers have authority. The word manager is in their title. A business analyst, we lead with no authority. So we have to get very good at creative guidance. So several things. Number one, seek to understand. Uncover where their fear is coming from. Figure it out. And then there's this thing on gamestorming.com, and I'm sure it's elsewhere, there's a thing called flip it. Once you figure out the fear, you can flip it to hope. You won't get them to do it right away, but fear of loss of importance. Well, you're going to get to be more important by focusing on things that only you can do. Makes you stand out, right? Helping them see that. Sometimes I have been in environments that don't even have project managers or BAs. They're used to doing whatever they want to do. And now I'm going to come in and be like mom or dad. That's not fun, right? So when part of it's a lack of understanding, and in that, I have a little analogy of, look at me like Google Maps for business, right? You open me up and you say, hey, I want to go here. And I say, great, where are you right now? And I figure those two things out. I help you understand all the different ways we could get there, but I still let you choose. You have to leave the power in their hands. And then I help them get there safely and warn them if there are challenges up ahead, just like Google Maps. So when I approach it like that with the project management team, that I'm going to take I'm not just asking to play in your sandbox, I'm asking to borrow your favorite shovel. People don't like that. So I try to help them see the value I could provide. I figure out what kind of analogies would work for them. I figure out what are their fears. I try to help them see it from a different perspective, and I show them, I'm not here. I just want to help. I just want to make a difference for you so you can succeed more. How can I help you be more comfortable with that? When you approach a conversation where deflate their fear, help them not fear you, and then ask, how can I help this transition be more comfortable for you? That opens up a lot of trust and transparency. Be honest. Recognize there's a problem. So I get everyone to recognize, yeah, we've got some discomfort here. How can we work together in a way? And when I've done this, like I'll give you a specific example. Business analysts really should be able to do data modeling. When you join IIBA, you will see it in the BABOK. I do that. It's the only way I know how to draw pictures to help my DBA or my developer understand how business sees their data. And they're going to restructure it for all of the non-functionals, right? They're going to structure it for speed of response. They're going to structure it for security considerations, for reporting considerations. That's on them. When I first did this and I was working with a gentleman who came from Microsoft to work at our little company. And I gave him my ERD and he flipped out on me and he was quite rude. Okay. I first stayed calm because I knew where he was coming from. I understood he wasn't used to working with someone like me, a BA. And then I explained to him, I promise you, I don't know how else to show you how the business sees their data. I'm not trying to do your part. You will probably redesign this, but I'm trying to draw pictures and I don't want to make you read a bunch of words. So just, it's like It's like when mom asked you to try broccoli for the first time and you were like, oh, and she was like, just try it once. If you don't like it, we won't do it again. I gave him that analogy. He's like, okay. I did my thing, and he received the value, and he was like, wow, you just freed up time for me. So many times it's like asking them to just try it, helping them feel like you're not dictating their world. You just want to provide some value. You want to eliminate noise so they can excel. And most of the time, you're still going to have some people that it doesn't work with because they're that insecure. Most of the time, the project managers, the developers, the data resources, they say, wow, you've made my life so much easier. And now I can learn. I didn't have time to learn these other things before. Now I can get these tips and these tricks, and I can do really cool things. And I'm like, yes, it takes time though. And the person that it requires the most patience, the most creative conversation management, the BA, it's really on the BA, because you have BAs are so amazing. And I'm just amazed every time I engage them. And you have a very unique skill set. You are able to bridge the gap between technology, which is very logical, very, very right brain. And then you have the people side, which is very right brained. You live in the middle. Not many people do. So really the responsibility is yours to figure out, in that situation with that individual, what can I do to help us get there? And it's going to be unique every time.
Exactly. And you advised us a lot of opportunities to grow right now, because you explained how to make stakeholders management, how to make expectations management, how to design conversation in advance, how to lead the conversation, how to be prepared to negative answers and to be ready for open and constructive conflict situation, how to resolve conflict and how to negotiate. So this is just one example that you shared, but so many skills, and this is lifelong learning skills. You can't just read a book and become very professional in this. You need to advance all the time, all your life.
Agreed.
Yeah. Business analysis is a nice profession, and I believe that it's here in business analysis you can't be never bored, because you always have what to improve and what to learn, and great opportunities for growth always.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Returning back to the conversation about organizations when you're just the first business analyst. I know that there are a lot of organizations when you're probably not the first business analyst, but business analysis practice is not mature enough. And how to improve this case, how to improve the situation. I expect that your answer would be very similar to previous one, because it's based again on communication, stakeholders, expectation management, and conflicts, negotiation, and so on. But do you have any tricks and tips and tricks for business analysts, how they can be faster in this improvement?
Okay, so I have several things. There are several things that, so the first thing, let's take it at the big strategic level. You're coming in and that maybe you're having to win over leadership, okay? And maybe they want you to build a COE, but you realize they're not quite ready. One of the things that I think is extremely important that you do, leverage leadership. Mm-hmm. You should not be your own change champion. Mm-hmm. That's really hard to succeed in. So find a change champion in leadership that can champion what you represent for you. That opens the door. It doesn't solve the whole thing, but it opens the door. Then, when you are in the moment and you're trying to work through things and you're trying to help them mature, first, they kind of need to understand where they are with their current maturity. That's hard, because that requires people to recognize the weaknesses. Yes. A lot of us are doing that, right?
It's very motivating.
So, things like, there is there is a tool called Crucial Conversations. Its original intent is to help you deal with difficult conversations when someone is misbehaving towards you, right?
Mhm.
But it can be used in other facets. For example, so it's a very easy 3-step thing. And when we're talking about this, that means there's conflict at hand.
Mhm.
That's uncomfortable. We're going to be nervous. We're going to be uncomfortable, insecure, things like that. We might, if you're anything like me, be frustrated. I get real frustrated
Yes, yes.
because I'm like, I just want to help. Let me help. So Crucial Conversations gives you, when you're nervous, upset, any of that, gives you this simple 3-step structure to have difficult conversations and get others to realize what we need to do. So one of the things I have learned, particularly in the environments, not my current environment, it's better, but I have been in many environments that I can't just come right out and say what we need to do, even if I know what we need to do. It's not well received. So get them to realize what's needed. Share fact with them. And then, so it's the 3-step is I have observed. So for example, we recognize there's not enough maturity. So instead of saying we're not mature enough to do a COE, no one's going to want to hear that. So what you have to say is something more along the lines of, I've noticed we have some challenges with consistency in the execution of business analysis. That leads me to believe that we have one of several challenges. We're not quite clear on what a BA should be. We haven't managed the change management in a way that the individuals that are going to have to adjust so the BA can do their job understand it and are comfortable with it. Or there is an outright discomfort with it. Don't use the word resistance or insecurity. That's not good. But discomfort with it. Can you help me understand, because you've been here longer, what do you think is feeding some of what I just mentioned? And how do you think I can help overcome that? Now, this is painful in some ways because you as a BA have probably seen the patterns. You've probably engaged enough that you know what we need to do already. But when we think about this and we're thinking about overcoming resistance, helping an organization mature, things like that, people accept ideas more readily if it's theirs. So that's the first thing. So I would use Crucial Conversations to get them to think critically and give you feedback. And then if they don't come back with what you know it needs to be done, ask them leading questions to get them there, but try to get them there. The other piece is recognize you can't mature an organization overnight. Not possible. Right?
And
so
it's very, very expected. Like, we hire you, you will do this overnight.
No, yeah, and that's not the case. So, but what you can do is small change that shows value, that buys you time and opportunity. So the easiest place to start is show it yourself. Then you will have a couple of other people that want to help engage, get them grown and skilled. So you start improving skill sets of individuals that you can together tell a story. Once you've got that, now you've got more of a departmental excellence. And then you can grow into center of excellence, right? So you build small community, you get good. Then you build small communities of practice, and then you can grow into a center of excellence. But what it's going to require is passion and patience from the BA.
I would say dedication and faith.
Yes, agreed.
Great advice. Thank you so much. And I believe that it is also useful for any change, anything that BA have to work with. Like, I can imagine a new feature that should be approved with the resistance of stakeholders. It can be a solution that is like difficult to approve or difficult to have buy-in. So great options to apply your advice. Yeah, thank you so much for this. And also, what you said, it's about leadership. It's about how to become a leader in any area. It's not related just to business analysis again. Your advice is applicable everywhere. So even if you're not on the leadership position, or even if you guys not just BAs, it's okay. You can apply this advice everywhere in your life, and it would be a really working advice. Thank you so much. And I'm really happy to hear this advice from you. I'm really happy that you're here on our BA Leadership Talks, because all we talk about is about leadership. Lora, I have a question about career options available for mature business analysts, because like many our members and many our watchers are really mature. They are on senior positions, leader position, and now they are looking what to do next. And many people try to change business analysis for other options like product management, project owner, project management, or start their own business. So
Yeah.
what is your advice? What they can do if they are experienced now?
So there are several things. Number one, project management and business analysis, when you think about what their focuses are, they're very, very different. I honestly don't see it. To me, a BA doesn't grow up to be a PM, project manager. Now, a BA could grow up to be a product manager. And if we think about that, so if you hit a certain level of BA, you can go multiple directions. First, product management. That is very focused BA, okay? It's strategic, but still constrained to a specific product. Now, why it is often considered a level up is because when you get into, now there's a difference between product ownership and product management. Product ownership, I'm designing and talking about features. Product management, I get strategic. I get into market analysis, understanding the industry and our place in it, and things like that. So that is one direction you can go. The only thing I would caution you on is ensure that if you do that, you're very passionate about the product. Because as soon as you start doing that, it becomes more difficult to scoot back into a strategic generalist, right? Okay, so product management is very focused, but it does get strategic from the perspective of market strategy and things like that. Another direction you can go, let's say you've been a business analyst for a while and you've dabbled in all these different business functional areas of an organization, and one of them really sparked your interest. You can move into a business leadership function that will eventually lead you into, if you're so inclined, something like a chief operating officer, right? You can go all that way. Another thing that you could do is move into the more strategic area of business architecture. It is a level up, and it is where you work with C-suites to do business analysis, but on a really high level of business strategy, meaning you're designing the business and not just designing a solution, right? So that's that. And then your work would feed the other BAs in the organization. That's a direction you could go. When it comes to BA, you don't grow up to be a PM or a QA or a change manager, because those are considered, I consider those peer functions. You grow up to be a business architect, a business, which is in a way a business strategist. You could grow up into leadership in the organization functionally. You could move into, maybe I'm being too confident, but I think BAs would make excellent leaders in IT, because you're objective and you know just enough about everything to give good leadership. Because there's a difference between leadership and management. Management, I kind of need to know how to code if I'm managing a developer. If I'm leading a developer, it's very, very different, right? So BAs could lead business analysis offices. They could move into management and BA. They could move into strategic business analysis, which is more architecture. They could grow up to be a product manager if they were really passionate about a thing, or they could go into the business. Hopefully that answers the question.
And, for junior business analysts, I'm interviewing quite a lot. Sometimes they come to interview and said, I want to be a project manager, but I know I have no experience, so I will start as business analyst. And I understand that in this case, they're motivated by the phrase manager. They want to manage, and they don't understand that a lot of leadership responsibilities and a lot about leadership they will learn in business analysis, because as you said, you have to lead without authority. And this is about like being a manager or being a leader. So
Yes.
business analyst, I believe, an excellent profession for any managerial positions, high top level managerial position in the future, because you learn how to be a leader, having
You do.
zero authority to be a leader.
Yes, and that managing up. That's a skill
Yes.
in itself. Yes. Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much for this conversation. I really enjoyed all your advice, and I believe that we will have a lot of posts with the sites forever, because great advice, great recommendations. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your wisdom. I appreciate.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Anytime I can get back.
Yeah, thank you.